hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I am Jay Lee. This is Jay Lee's Corner. This is going to be my review of the Bobby DeBarge story, which came on TV One today. Well, yesterday because it's 3 o'clock in the morning and everything. Okay, if you have not done so already, please take a moment to subscribe to my channel and become a whole Jaybird. Jaybird. Dun, 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 dun. I don't know how I hit that note and it's 3:30 in the morning. Anyway, okay, do not forget to like, comment, and share this video. Share, share, share. Like. Thank you very much. Um, I'm not going scene by scene, nothing that. This is going to just be my opinion on the movie, okay? Now, Rashawn, is his name Rashawn? Roshan Fegan is ROSHONFEGAN. He played Bobby DeBarge. And, that's the real Bobby DeBarge. That's Roshan. I mean, I see the resemblance. The hair, no. I think a lot of, I'm trying to figure out how to even talk about the movie without saying how, because it's not a shitty biopic. It's not a shitty movie. However, I feel like so much was missing. Truth be told, I did not know Bobby DeBarge. Even though I had heard his songs, I always thought that was L DeBarge. All these years, I thought it was L. I had never heard of Switch. I wasn't born until 1982. Okay, so I wasn't around back then. So I didn't know who he was. So I was excited to okay, this is the older brother. He's the oldest of the DeBarge. I didn't know that it was 10 DeBarges. I did not know any of that. Again, I was born in 82. However, I feel like it was missing a lot. I think TV One did a disservice to not have at least maybe have the Switch unsung. Because I went back and watched Unsung Switch after I watched the movie. The unsung, the DeBarges don't come on until tomorrow, and it wasn't on demand. It comes on tomorrow. Well, today it comes on Sunday at like 7 p.m. Michigan time. Was that 7 or 8? One of the two, but it come on TV One either at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock later on today. But I think they should have played the Switch unsung before the movie, and then when the movie went off, they should have played the DeBarge unsung. I think that would have made sense, because I feel like if you were not born around the time to have known who Switch was, who Bobby DeBarge was, and fully who the DeBarge family was, you didn't learn all that you really needed to learn from this biopic. I feel like they rushed a lot of it. The movie starts here. He's already Bobby DeBarge. He's already in Switch. And there's a lot that we don't know. I'm like, how did he get to... Who found them? How did they know he could sing? Like, was he in churches singing? Like, it was just so much missing. I mean, we met him already performing with the group Switch, already addicted to drugs. I'm like, who introduced him to the drugs? Where did that come from? So that part was kind of crazy. I took little mini notes, and not even really mini notes. I would just write myself little stuff as I was watching it. You know what I'm saying? I like, it's just, I feel like it was a lot missing. Just, this, where it started off, it did not make sense. To me, it was not really a biopic. They covered such a short amount of information, but I get it was only 2 hours. Biopic should not. If you get greenlit for a biopic of somebody of this stature, okay, he was very, very famous. His family is very, very famous. You can't do it in 2 hour biopic, and the 2 hour thing don't really be. It'd be like an hour and 10 minutes with commercials, and it was a lot of commercials. It seemed like after every commercial, it went to a new milestone in his life, and I'm like, wait, what's going on now? And they preview, they promoted the hell out this movie. I mean, every time you turned around, it was a new promotion for it. So I feel like the views for it will be amazing. And again, it's not bad. The acting was really, really great. I'll say that. I have a few other pictures of different people. Because again, I'm not trying to review the whole goddamn movie. It was just seemed too much for me. Lloyd, his brother Tommy, he was in here. I feel like the wigs were bad. Okay, the wigs were bad. I feel like Bobby's wig was the worst. Bobby's wig, the hair was too done. It was too curly. It was too wavy. It was too bohemian Hawaiian wavy versus a little bit, you know what I'm saying, kink or whatever. Because when you see pictures of him in the past, it wasn't like this. It was more of a afro than, you know what I'm saying, this bohemian body wave hair. So I'm like, that was, but each sibling had different hair. We'll say that. But the wigs were a little bit was just different. You know, Lloyd played the dude, was it Greg? And that's something else. They didn't really give us name. I think it was Greg, or the he was the person who got the group switched together, and that's who Lloyd played. But I feel like I didn't really know much of that stuff. It was just so much which is missed. I didn't particularly like Lloyd's performance a little bit. I thought it could have been a little bit better. But not that it was bad. It was just different. Yes, it was just a little bit different. They were talking about how people didn't look right. I feel like the people they got looked how they were supposed to look, in my opinion. They were talking about look because he dated Latoya Jackson. Oh, that ain't how she looked. If you knew Latoya back in the day, that's how she looked. The movie is worth watching. I'll say that. It just wasn't. I just wish it was better. You know what I'm saying? I really, really do. The most that we got from this biopic was that the DeBarge family were abused as children by their punk ass, evil ass daddy. Okay, the daddy sexually molested the Bunny, who was the only daughter, and he also messed with James. James was the oldest, and they showed the daddy would have him up in that attic, would dress James up in a dress and call him a sissy, and you see the dress was ripped or whatever. So it was more about you would see these little flashes of their childhood, but not really like, well, how did they get to Grand Rapids? And supposedly, allegedly, what they say is that the DeBarge, the mama brother, beat the daddy up really, really badly, and that's what made them move to Grand Rapids because when she finally left him alone. But it was just it just wasn't, the acting was good, but the story to me was stupid because it wasn't. I don't think it was a real biopic of Bobby. We got these little pieces of, him dating Latoya when he met his wife Terry. You know what I'm saying? We got little pieces of that. But it was just, I'm like, girl, it was, not, I don't want to say it was bullshit, but I was like, come on now. Jermaine, girl, they, girl, this who they had playing Jermaine Jackson. Because what I also did not know was that Jermaine Jackson is who helped bring Bobby and the whole DeBarge family to Motown. I don't know why they got this. This looks like Jermaine, if Jermaine had never had surgery and if he aged. He doesn't look like Jermaine back in the 80s because Jermaine wasn't that old in the 80s. This is how Jermaine would look now if he didn't have all that damn badass surgery. But I mean, it was just too much. This again, I told you I'm not going over the whole movie. This is who they had Latoya. This is Latoya. But she looked like the old Latoya. If you know what Latoya looked like, I think I have a picture. If you know what Latoya looked like before she had, oh yeah, here we go. Before she had any kind of surgery, that is what she looked like. And I've seen so many people like, that ain't what she looked like. And I'm like, if you're not old enough to remember what she looked like, then shut it up, zip it up, and throw it away. So this is what Latoya, I'm gonna block myself, but it's fine. This was Latoya back in the day. So the girl did look like Latoya. Look at that. That was great casting. She looked like Latoya before any surgery. So people who's seen the movie, that ain't what she look like now. Of course it isn't. But this movie ain't about what Latoya looked like now. It's about what she looked like when she was dating Bobby DeBarge. Okay, and that's spitting image. Even people like that ain't what Jen looked like. That's what she looked like when she was dating James. So again, it was just different stuff that I was like, I don't know if it's directing, if there was the producers, who else was I gonna show here? Did we see the siblings? Oh, here go all the siblings. So all the DeBarges who they eventually came to town to because Bobby was like, I want my family here because he knew his family could sing. So these are all the DeBarges. I mean, that's how they looked back then. Like, no tea, no shade. That is how they looked back in the 80s. You can't be upset because that's how they looked in the 80s. And it is what it is. So I wanted to get that out the way to say, hey, that's what these people look like in the 80s. You can't be like, that ain't what. No, it is. You have to be aware that they're not booking people or pulling people up based on where's the picture at? How they look now. Look at this. That is this is them back then. So the big picture is them in the movie. This little one that I'm making bigger now is them back in the day. So again, this is how they looked. You can't get mad if that's how they looked. Okay, so let's just get back to just me. Back to the movie. So we see Bobby's on drugs. We see Bobby, he doing cocaine. He's smoking crack. Okay, putting stuff in the crack pipe as he's on the phone with his mother. I'm like, who loads a crack pipe as they talking to their mother? I guess a crackhead. So, but yeah, crack was rampant in the 80s. And it really, really was. So, but we didn't get a sense of, again, how did Bobby get in the group switch? It went from Bobby in the group switch to, we know he on drugs. When he bring his family out, the family get on with Motown. So Bobby and them leaves with Bobby and Tommy. At one point, Tommy just left the whole movie. We didn't see Tommy at all anymore. I'm like, did he move away? Did he pass away? What happened to Tommy? No, Tommy just disappeared. So when he left the group, we see Lloyd, who plays the character Greg, who again founded the group switch. When he said, I'm happy that, what I'm saying, they out the group or whatever, because now I don't have to worry about babysitting no base heads. He said base heads are crackheads, or no, dope fiends. But on the switch on song, he said they was all dope fiends. They was all using drugs. It's just that Bobby and Tommy were heavy in it, but he was still a actual dope fiend. Something like no dope fiend would say he happy to not be watching dope fiends no more. But you a dope fiend too, bruh. So that part could be a little bit of whatever. And then from there, you kind of see how Bobby, I won't say was jealous, but he was watching his family kind of rise to fame or whatever. And it was a girl, I don't know. If you haven't seen the biopic, I will suggest that y'all do watch it. Like, it's watchable. The acting in it is really, 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 really good. The flashback scenes are heartbreaking because you see the daddy pushing Bobby down while Bobby wearing the dress. You see him, telling the daughter to come up to the attic and help him do some things, and Bobby saying no, she can't go, and they're like, you can't tell me, all that stuff. So you see these flashes of them, of knowing they're getting abused. You see, Bobby with his mama in adulthood. And, when she like, oh, thank God y'all got a record deal, thank God made the way. You like, oh, like he made the way in, in Detroit or back in Grand Rapids or back wherever. When daddy would beat your ass, every week he would beat you, he would beat me, he would beat Bonnie, and we told you, mama, Bunny told you with her own mouth and her own words, she told you what he was doing to her, and you knew what he was doing, because you knew he was messing with me. He was beating me. He would beat me. He would beat me like I was a grown man till I bled. Rashawn, is this Rashawn? I hope I'm Rashawn Fegan. However, it's the dude who played the beat up boy. He also played on Greenleaf. He played a little light skinned boyfriend who was beat up on the daughter. But he did a really great job acting in this. His wig was fucked up. I get that. But his acting was amazing. And I always say, you can have really, 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 really bad movies with really, 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 really good acting. He did great. I think the mama did great. The mama who was played by, who was she played by? She played the mama on Boys in the Hood. She played Doughboy and Ricky Mama. And she been the other mamas too. But who else mama was she? She played in some stuff. That's all that. Y'all know who she is. Anyway, I have her picture up here too. But even her talking to here she go. Her talking to Bobby and telling him, it was hard, for us back then. So this is the mama. It was hard for us back then. your daddy was a white man. He had a hard being married to me, a black woman. Because again, this is back in in the 60s. There was because Bobby was born in 58, so 58, 68. You know what I'm saying? At that time, whatever. When race was heavy as hell. What's heavy as hell now? But it was even worse back then. Like he had it hard, so don't make excuses for him. Don't do that. And them having this a conversation of, we told you what he was doing and you just kind of didn't care. Like you didn't even think to. I thought I had a photo of him talking to his mama. Well, it's a different photo, but we're gonna still use it. But him just saying how you knew what was going on. We told you. I told you. Bunny told you. You just didn't do anything. Nah, baby, we left. Remember, we left and we got away from that. Now she had 10 children. 10. 10 children. So she's like, we left. He said, yeah, we left, but you went back to them, even though you know what he did. So it made her look fucked up because you had a husband, a white man at that, who was having sex with your daughter and was mentally, physically just abusing, molesting your kids. Okay, we know for a fact the oldest two, I'm assuming it probably was all of them, here or there, whatever. And it was horrible. And she was kind of like, we made girl. And so Bobby was just mad. Because so he had a reason to be mad his whole life. He had a reason to be up there high on drugs because of what he went through. Something else about the movie that kind of made me mad. They didn't bring up how he was bisexual. He died of AIDS in the 80s. No, he died in 95. He contracted AIDS in the 80s. And then the way it was happening in the 80s, no tea, no shade to anyone, it was usually more homosexuals who was catching it and passing away from it. Because they didn't say how he was any kind of drug user who used needles. But even take away the AIDS part, the HIV part of it, he was a known bisexual person. He messed with men. It wasn't even mentioned in the movie at all. Like there was no inkling of him ever being bisexual. And I know he may be struggling with it because a lot of people struggle with it because of if they were molested as when they were younger, or at least males do. So, but I'm like, how did y'all leave that whole part of it? And there was one scene where Tommy said to Bobby, we can't let the past survive, Bobby. If we don't, oh no, if we do, the past will bury us. And when he said, I was like, that's very, very true. We see scenes of the mama telling them when they was little, when they was fighting or whatever. I don't need y'all like 5 moving fingers. I don't need y'all out here doing all that. Y'all need to be a fist, tight as a fist, always together. Always together, because you can't. It's hard to break up a fist, and it is. So the mama, even though she was fucked up for being with that daddy, knowing he was abusing the kids, she still wanted them to be a tight knit family, or tight knit of siblings. Okay, but for the most part, we see the big issue between the kids was between Bobby and James. Okay, now James the Barge is the one who was married to Janet Jackson for a little bit of time. And we've seen a little bit of him on Growing Up Hip Hop because his daughter Christina, is it Christiana? Christy something, I don't know, was on that show too. And we see him a little bit on there. Um, and they had issues. It seemed to me, what it seemed like is Bobby, well, he said Bobby would abuse him. He said Bobby would, we would fuss and fight or whatever. So this is James. He played James. And he looked like James. Okay, if any of you have ever seen pictures of Janet Jackson and James DeBarra back in the day, he looks exactly like that. But we see this is a great moment between the two siblings because after, the DeBarges is on, they got their own thing going on. Bobby not so much, and Bobby come to visit them at like a performance or whatever, and they have a conversation to where Bobby acting like, oh hey James, we cool, and James like, bro, we not friends, like, what I'm saying, come on man, I love you, you my brother, I love you. Oh, so now you love people, whatever. And James finally admits his issue with Bobby, like, you abused me, you hurt me, you would beat me, you would bully me and abuse me, you act like it's cool or whatever. And I'm like, what? Man, we was kids. Like, that was a long time ago. Oh, you want to pass? You can't get no pass. You was a kid. And I'm like, it's the same thing that Bobby said to the mama. You can't give daddy no pass because he was a white man at that time like that. You can't give him no pass for that. That's bullshit. So it seems the same abuse, or a little bit of abuse, that Bobby he gave to his younger brother. And when we see a flashback scene of Bobby like pushing James and like, you always telling on me, you always telling daddy on me, I'm saying, you little sissy. He said, I'm sissy, you a sissy, and he pushes him. and you see Bobby was mean to James, and Bobby say, "I'm sorry." The man, look, the scene the scene of this actor doing this scene within itself was amazing. Like, he acted his ass off in that clip, just saying how, "I'm so sorry," you know what I'm saying, "I was jealous of you. I was jealous of because daddy loved you and he ain't love me. He didn't love me how he loved you. He would hurt me. All he would ever do was hurt me. And I was his wish he could love me the way he loved you." And he was crying. I'm like, oh my God. It was again, it's great acting, but not a great movie. It wasn't a biopic. It really, 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 really was not. What else did we learn? What else, girl? Um, Not much. It was more about they got beat up as kids. Bobby's on drugs. Broke up with Latoya. James with Janet. After this conversation, it showed James proposing to Janet, saying, "Let's not, have to deal with our, our family or whatever. Let's elope, and let's not be Janet Jackson and James DeBarge. Let's just be what Janet picture so I can show y'all. Let's just be, oh yeah, there you go. Let's just be So that's who they had play Janet, but she looked like Janet looked back in the day. Again, Google Janet and James DeBarge, and you would see this. Okay, that is what you would see, because that's what they look like, point blank to the period. But him telling her, like, let's just be, James and Janet. Let's not have to worry about being, the DeBarges and the Jacksons, because for the most part, that was the whole thing. Like, they had to live up to this hype of their family, and neither one. See, look, can't tell me that ain't them. Okay, look at Janet. Okay, look at look at this shit. Yeah, look at this shit right here. Okay, so that's what it was. Again, I told you I'm not. This is a whole all over the place review, because it's just my opinion on it more than you have to watch it. They had Big Boy playing Barry Gordy. I didn't like it. Okay, I mean, he only had two scenes, maybe three. It was two scenes, but it was I think it was three things. But he ain't saying do much. Okay, I seen somebody comment on Twitter say every time we see Barry Gordy on any biopic or whatever, he's never really in the studio. It's always someone else. That he really helped to mold these people into great art. I think he was here and there. But yeah, I mean, I feel like I watched it and I didn't learn much, except that Bobby DeBarge was on drugs and he was abused as a child. I have no idea how they got involved in music. I have no idea how he, met the dude Greg. I have no idea how they got in contact with Jermaine Dupri, with Jermaine Jackson. None of that. Like, none of it. Like, they didn't cover it. How do you start off a biopic from the point of the person already being famous and damn near on a decline? How? I just don't get it. I really, 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 really don't. Okay. So we see at this point in time, okay, now he's no longer really popping. He didn't got dropped from the label. His siblings is working, but he's not really working on music or whatever. And he ended up meeting his little girlfriend, who becomes his wife, the lady Terry. I feel like they said Terry had something to do with the movie. I think she or somebody purposely left off stuff that is common knowledge that was in the Unsung. Okay, so I can't wait to watch the DeBarge Unsung. I wanted to wait to review this until I watched it, but I'm like, that won't be until tomorrow night, and that's just too long. But again, I mean, it was good acting in a bad movie. I know Russ Parr worked on it too, Okay, it's not as bad as the Aaliyah biopic, but you cannot do a biopic of certain people and have it be a one time thing. It can't be a 2 hour episode. It has to be like three parts just to even give it what it needs. If you can't give it what it needs, then don't give it at all. Okay, the best biopic to date is the Belle Biv DeVoe and or Ronnie Bobby Brown, but that they did on BT, but only because it wasn't one thing. It was like a mini series of like 2 and 3 and 4 parts, because that's what makes sense. Bobby the Bard should have had at least a 2-part miniseries. It could have been, because he got 10 9 siblings who all is in music that y'all all had on the show. They showed a little bit of James and Janet. Okay, Tommy disappeared at one point. They would point out how great of a singer Elle was. Okay, we kept seeing the young baby Chico. Okay, and honestly, for me, when I was growing up, when I knew of Chico the Barge, it was when that song with him and Joe, no guarantee, no guarantee song, and I thought Chico the Barge was a child of one of the DeBarges. I did not realize he was a sibling. He was just the youngest of the siblings. I had no idea. Anyway, so we see like Bobby telling Chico, like, don't be letting people, try to manage you, whatever. Like, everybody want a piece of the barge pie, and we the only ones that's gonna be eating off of it. So it also showed how Bobby wanted the family to make it. He didn't want other people profiting off of them without them profiting themselves, and he believed in his family, at least his siblings. Okay, um, and then it went to him like when he got dropped. He met Terry, and all of a sudden he was a drug dealer. I'm like, why he dealing drugs? What's going on here? Like, it was him and Chico dealing drugs. And, Chico got caught up and got arrested at the airport or whatever. And they came and arrested Bobby. And Bobby went to prison for 5 years. Found out he had AIDS in prison, had HIV in prison. Um, and he came home and ended up passing away from the complications of AIDS because he died in 95. So he did 5 years in prison. He was alive a nice while considering the time when he caught AIDS and how quickly people would die from AIDS back then. Um, but when the daddy came to the hospital and it went to his hospital bed, and said whatever words and walked away, I'm like, man, fuck that daddy. Okay, he's a whole asshole out in these streets. But yeah, it was just so much. It was so much, and it was also nothing. The best part of the whole movie, to me, was the acting from the guy who played Bobby the Barge. That was a great thing. The mama was a great, her and the scene with her and Bobby was great. The scene with James and Bobby was great. I feel like had it been more than one part, it could have been better. But it felt so rushed. Okay, it felt so rushed. And what I told y'all happened is the gist of what happened. Okay, a lot of drug use. Okay, drugs here, drugs there, drugs every goddamn gone where. But they left out the whole bisexual thing. They did not show how he liked men and dealt with men, even though it was known that he did. So I'm like, well, that's kind of crazy. But listen, it was a lot of missing parts. It was so many missing parts. I'm like, how he was in prison and they kind of made it seem like, okay, it was a point of showing how people couldn't tell Bobby from Elle. Like, he in prison and they're like, oh, that's that. Oh, he light skinned and with good hair. He that singing dude. Okay, don't you sing a song? And he started singing the bar song. He like, that ain't my song. Whatever, Elle. He like, I ain't Elle, I'm Bobby. Whatever, you one of them. So it was things how, people say how they couldn't tell one from the other voice-wise. And he got beat up in prison. And, I'm just like, it wasn't a waste of my time. It really, really wasn't. At y'all, because I've been rambling for the past 30 minutes. But it's good. It's good enough to watch. You're not going to watch it and be as disappointed as we were with the Aaliyah biopic and some other TV One biopics. It wasn't as that bad, but you don't learn enough to, if you went into this hoping to watch it and learn things about Bobby that you didn't know, all you're going to find out is he was abused as a child and his father is a horrible, horrible person. Like, and he died years after after Bobby did. When he should have died sooner than that. But he actually got remarried and had more kids. It's just horrendous. But you'll find out he was abused as a child from his daddy. The mama knew. He did drugs. He dated Latoya Jackson for a little bit of a minute, and he got another wife. Okay, we got a wife. Sold some drugs, and it wasn't the right thing, and he went to jail, and he died of AIDS. That's all. I mean, but it was so much. I feel like it was much more to him than that. Like, it was so much more to him than that, and they didn't cover how great he was musically. Like, I think to show him on stage singing, but then it's consistent. I'm always high. I'm always high. Yeah, he was also a great musician. If you see the like clips and stuff of them performing back in the day, they did no justice to that at all. But the actors did the best they could with what they were given, on the scripts. So, but that's it, y'all. I'm gonna leave it here. Again, I say watch it. Again, it's watchable. If it's on TV one night and I'm up, I'll leave the TV on that channel. I would, but I mean, I wouldn't be upset if somebody else did a 3-part miniseries about DeBarge, all the siblings. As a matter of fact, no, a 4-part because it's 10 of them. So I wouldn't be upset about that as long as they covered what happened. Anyway, y'all. I hope y'all enjoy this. I know I was all over the place, and I still want people to watch it because it was still entertaining, but I just didn't learn enough, in my opinion. I really, really didn't. I just want them to do better next time. Like, I mean, just think about it next time to where you know that you are covering somebody who is an actual legend, okay? A whole legend in these streets. And you should just do them right, is what I'm going to say. That's why I'm ending this with pictures of the real person and the actor. Because I think, acting wise, he did good, but the script was shitty. Anyway, y'all, thanks for watching. I'm Jay Lee. This is Jaylee's Corner. Peace.